Shri Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyattanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkatam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. These are the reasons Krishna appears very in scheduled incarnation, not unscheduled incarnation. Scheduled incarnation means the one that are supposed to be coming every time in a scheduled airline list. Krishna's appearance is also scheduled, not unscheduled. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is unscheduled incarnation, that he came for a specific purpose. But nonetheless, he came to establish the Yuga Dharma, which is called Sankirtan. Sankirtan, Yagyaha, Yagyahi Sankirtanam Prahi Yajanti Sumedasa. So, establishment means stha, where stha is supposed to achieve stability, sthirta, continuity of the process of executing dharmic principles set by Krishna. We must have an establishment. As I said before, that an institution is a dharmic establishment. A university, a hospital, there are specific dharmas that they are meant for welfare, for people in general. But they are not established for the ultimate execution of the religious principles. So, in any case, establishment of the religious principles are when there are discrepancies in following these principles are there. But our culture has been established right from the very beginning in every state of our existence, whether we are brahmachari, a celibate student, whether grahastha, whether responsible householders, or retired from the family life, and the last one is the traveling monks, the preachers, for the welfare of everyone. Everyone carries a discipline, and for that discipline there is a system to be established. Without establishment we are lose-lose. The modern society is not having a proper establishment. Modern society is an exploiting society based on the market of consumerism. It does not follow any dharmic principles. It follows on where the benefit is. They think if I become prosperous, then I made it. But prosperity is only one aspect. Are you prospering in your ultimate welfare? Are you becoming enriched with cultural principles that are embedded in the instructions of the Supreme Personality of God? Vedic culture is based upon instilling these principles, the dharmic principles, to be upheld and make it perfected during human life. Because only human beings on this planet, in this Kali Yuga, are benefited by that, and out of that, in harmony will practice. Manushyaram sastreshu kaschidyatati siddha. Out of thousands of people, hardly one tried to make his life perfect, even economically perfect, or culturally perfect, or religiously perfect. But still, They do not know who is the personality behind all this. Hardly anyone will know. Yatatāmapi siddhānām kaścin mam vetti tattva. Mam vetti, not anybody else. So, because we are ultimately connected with Him by spiritual connection, material connections are temporary. And human form of life is the best material conducive boat that can float. They know floating, they have been given floating devices for their protection. But if we neglect these floating devices, we are sure to get drowned. So use it. We have been so much successful, they say, and we come into limelight. Indian diaspora, especially throughout the world, is economically successful community. In America, it became the second richest minority in no time of immigration boost that started in 1962. And during 1964, when President Kennedy came, he had to go away. But yet, the trend of inviting the intelligent diaspora to take over their guiding economy. They became successful in the Middle East. In the Middle East, they have been existing over 300 years. But for the sheikhs and other propriety owners, they did not have anything till they started bringing the Indian to do business on their behalf. They became successful. UAE especially, even though it does not have resources similar to Saudi Arabia, but nonetheless, Indian diaspora became in limelight. In America, Europe, wherever people think that, oh, the rabbits are coming because they will propagate so fast. But that is not the point of successful economy. If you see, the population of India is increasing elsewhere also, and they are overpopulating somewhere? No. You consider the Muslims, they can have 5 wives, so they can have 25 children, minimum. And that's why it's the fastest growing religion in the world. They are fastest growing in population. Because everybody wants to go by the retro. But what is the culture? That is not the pivot of the culture, because it has not been established. By accident, by rebellion, and by some kind of violent history. Religion cannot be established. Krishna never taught that kind of violence. Krishna never taught that kind of violence to Arjuna, even though he was in the midst of practicing war. But anybody can perform devotional service in any condition and any kind of settings. In the war, you can do devotional service. What to speak in the stabilized economy, so-called, or even competitive progress in material civilization. The stability is counted on the basis of how your culture is becoming successful. This is Vedic culture. It's always been in the progress, till the goal will be reached. And the goal is Krishna consciousness, going back home, back to God. So, human society has this evolutionary pattern that goes towards his spiritual being. Most of the people do not know, even though if they are spiritual, but they will not live a life according to the spiritual. So there should be a proper establishment. And for the householder, as I said, the house is an establishment. So it becomes a consecrating effort, as a kind of duty that you have to engage in putting Lord Shri Krishna in the center. So today, Lord Shri Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his brother Nityananda, Balaram, they are being welcomed to establish and take the sanctum sanctorum aspect of our life, and we dedicate our life bearing on their presence, their instructions, and their the ideals which are, beneficial with munificent generosity of the heart with love. Namo Mahavadanya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Prema Pradayate. What kind of love they are giving? It is not material, lusty desire called so-called love, because people are sick and tired of, love, and they take crazy kinds of risk, but they cannot become successful. Because it's all lusty desire. Lust cannot become love. You cannot turn lust into love. But misunderstanding of pure love of Godhead can easily turn, because of enviousness nature, it can turn into lust. Envious and animosity towards the love of the Lord is the lust, and they cannot go together. That's why it becomes a kind of prohibition to engage in this kind of activity, the lustful effort, whether the lust of money, lust of property, lust of anything that you think you are the enjoyer. But when Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, one who has so much to give, he distributes through chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He distributes. Simply chant the Lord's name out of love and attention, that you mean it. Unknowingly, we cannot chant. Knowingly, if we chant, then we will be benefited, because the spiritual potency is embedded in the holy name. So, in this way, the importance of establishing Lord Sri Gaura, it will be very, very important for the Vaishnavas who are traditionally following in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are welcoming the deities, yes, and to original place. नित्यानंद गौरांग महाप्रभु की जय। Their obeisances. Nityananda Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki So, treating the deities like you wanted to treat yourself is the cardinal principle to get reciprocated. So we offer our best and put our attention while calling, by feeding, by doing Sankirtan. Everything will be a very attentive effort that will please Him. So, the mercy of the Lord will be also right from the house and in our character. It develops and we welcome everybody in that response to have beautiful darshan of the deity. So it will be feast for the eyes. Now they are given sumptuous bhoga offering. It will be the feast for the tongue. It's not the feast for the stomach. It's feast for the tongue. And of course, if we do not understand the philosophy too much, then you can eat so sumptuously that you will waggle on your stomach and go back home back to God. Eat nice, sumptuous prasad. So, Krishna is so kind that he is showing his mercy through so many means. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasya vijayate. Simply by accepting the concentrated efforts of our devotional service, Krishna always leaves his remnants in many ways. His causeless instructions, it is for the welfare of everyone. Because, why it is causeless? Because that is the original status of our existence, which is causeless. But our envy made a cause to create this material. So it becomes nullified by accepting the concentrated even food stuff. And where the intention is to offer him according to his nature. He is transcendental in the nature, not of this material world, of even mode of goodness. But the mortals, we have to develop such discipline and that minimum mode of goodness is required to enter into the transcendental. That's how Lord Brahma taught us. Maya hi yasya jagadanda satani sute traigunya tad vishaya veda vitayamana sattvaavalambi parasattvam vishuddha sattvam. Sattvaavalambi means what? Avalamban, you have to take shelter of the mode of goodness. Give up the passion and ignorance. So, do not eat those kind of foodstuffs which are prepared under those modes. It cannot be offered. So, always offer the sattva. Even if you do not get or cannot make anything, the fruits are always in the mode of goodness. So that can be offered. Even in emergency, if you do not have anything to eat outside, okay, take fruit, just chant prayer and eat. At least it will not pollute you. In Kali Yuga, even the papayas are polluted by the oxyacetylene gas. It's polluted. But be careful. This is mango season going on in India. Many of you may be, tempted to go particularly on this season. But most of the mangoes are going to be ripened through this artificial system. In any case, the mode of goodness is required to transcend to the mode of Parasattva. Parasattva is a transcendental mode. It is the mode where the soul, in his service to the Supreme Soul, will be satisfied. So Sattva Avalambi Parasattvam Vishuddha Sattvam Govindam. Lord Krishna is always situated in Vishuddha Sattva. He never comes down from that. So, meanwhile, if we try to pamper him in our lower modes, then it's a mistake. Such prayers do not reach to him. Such prayers with our mixed modes do not reach. The lower modes. If you chant the holy name, only they will, the holy name will be able to remove the lower modes, because holy name is situated on the transcendental mode. Therefore we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We gain that potency of purification of our lower modes. So it's a transcendental process, but you can experience. Because the Lord and His holy name are not different. If the Lord is staying in His established super mode of goodness, but Vishuddha Sattva, purified mode is called Vishuddha Sattva. So, this is Lord Shiva says to Parvati. So, those who are embodied must follow Lord Shiva's instruction, because he is the original body-giving father. And he is also the original destroyer of the bodies. Right? So, we need to look into the methodology which is time tested. And chanting of Hare Krishna is thus to be proven very effective to transcend the modes of material nature. So, for the grahastha, home is necessary. The home cannot be made for the lust and desires. It's not a place to execute our lust, greed. These are products of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, lower modes. So therefore we keep the deities in the center. Such practices are still carried on in a bigger establishment of household. The industrialists, they have so many children to practice, but it is the duty of the head of the household, whether he is the grandfather or grandmother, either way, they make sure that every child has to first go and pay obeisances out of obligation. It's a sign of surrender. Think of him all the time, and then you dedicate your daily duties towards him. Otherwise, you will be fined because you are earning. The mother oversees, the grandmother oversees this function of being the head of the household. Big industrialists in India follow this pattern. Before they make a big factory, they make a temple in their premises. So all the workers, everybody goes and pay their obeisances. Because the obligatory process is there. obligation to the Supreme Transcendental Personality. And your life will be in discipline. Your choice is in discipline. Your philosophy will be disciplined philosophy. What's your practice of life? Everything will be disciplined. If there is no discipline, there is no victory. Have you ever heard that undisciplined army become victorious? There are certain tribes in India. They call themselves Kshatriya, and they are so unruly, very unruly. Few years back there was an army recruitment camp in Rajasthan where there are all the fighters are coming because they are kingly orders and everybody was trained to be a fighter and they are Rajoguni. But that discipline went out of hack. So many thousands of youngsters came to get enrollment in army. And they became so unruly that he will be the first one to start pushing and this and that. The police have to fire. And about 10 of them died right on the spot. Arre Baba, you have to sacrifice your life for your land. You are sacrificing your life for being unruly. Uncontrollable passion is there. They become unruly. This is what we call a disqualifying. A discipline is such a thing that you are guaranteed to enter into a successful stepwise process. So everything happens one after another in a stepwise nature. That is scientific observation. Avagamam, the word Krishna is using in Bhagavad Gita, is avagamam. Avagamam. Gaman means to progress. But avagamam means you have to progress in a very systematic way. You have to follow somebody's footsteps. Because if he had been successful, then he will become your example and then you will follow him. Like that. That's called, even the principles of religion are to be followed in the footsteps of great Mahayans, those who are perfect. So this is the culture has been developed since ages. The standard of culture in Satya Yuga and the Vedic times, it was very, very high. Etiquette is very high. Etiquette is the expression of our activity. But whatever is in the mind, whatever is in the words, and should be the same thing in activity. If what we speak and what we do not behave, then it becomes a hypocritical situation. So the personal behavior is very important. So Vaishnava etiquette predominates in our teachings. Vaishnava etiquette. When we see people get into a discipline, but they think it is in the mind only, and it's not in the words, then it becomes hypocritical. But if it is in the mind as well as in the words, but you do not act accordingly, that is also hypocritical. So even such belief system which challenges, the Supreme Personality of God. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahmarudradi Devatam Samatvena Vikheta Sa Pakhandi Pravittasam. This is said in Padma Purana. Even if you think everybody is the same, what's the difference? This personality, that personality. They are into who are subordinates and who is the Supreme. We go after the Supreme, the Creator, not the creation. So that is the system in the Vedic. Otherwise, it becomes so hodgepodge that you get confused and you do not know what is what and what is not. Therefore, establishment stuff is very much important. Arjuna wanted to observe both the armies, so he's commanding Lord Krishna, "Hey Achyuta, establish my chariot right in between the two armies so I can observe whom am I to fight." And Krishna said, "Yes, sir, I will do." So he put right in between the two armies. But seeing in the opposition of army, his attachment for his grandfather, who are all, and the teacher, everybody is on the opposite side. He become completely perplexed. He is so confused that he forgot what he is there for. And the bugles have already been blown from both the sides. Even he did it. But still, there was no resolve for him. So this is the critical thing that we must understand, because everybody is mriyamanam, about to die. But we do not know how much. This is the position of mriyamana, the one who is about to die. So these lessons are there, that we are establishing this particular home, yet we have to remain detached. So detachment will promote our original link between Lord Shri Krishna and ourselves. It will foster our relationship, our activity to maintain that relationship, and the goal is love of God. All the three things are to be established right from the heart. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "Oh, when I go and see in somebody's home the Grihate Bhajana Dekhi Goloka Devadhaya, I feel like it is Golok Vrindavan. When I visit somebody's home where Hari Kirtan is playing, glorification of the Supreme is playing. Oh, that is Golok Vrindavan. Why? Because Krishna said, "Naham vasami vaikunthe yoginam api hridayena cha madbhakta jatra gayanti tisthami tatra narada." Tisthami. He is all pervading, yet he is the personality. He will be situated and firmly fixed in such a house where Hari Bhajan is playing. Not klesha of samsara. In his absence, the klesha will. So, an establishment where stability is the main goal, that stability is available to Grihastha in a very physical, spiritual and mental platforms. All the three platforms. But nonetheless, we appreciate the establishment. So we declare the purpose in our resolve of the lifetime. Yes, my dear Lord, we are welcoming you. So please guide us in our daily life. So we become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. If we will remain fearful, then sure, we are the losers. Arjuna feared. Because of his attachment, he feared. And Krishna has to remove his fear. So in this way, Nityananda Gauranga Mahaprabhu have come and we are celebrating their arrival at the same time. Good fortune of the devotees who will be taking care of them. Right? So, Krishna bless them. You are the witness and bestow the good fortune upon them by your blessings. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Aarti.